What if the one thing standing between you and your biggest dream isn't ambition or talent or even time, but the size of the step you're trying to take to make it happen? Today we're talking about mini goals, what they are, why they work, and how a woman named Ruby is going to show us exactly how to use them. Welcome back. I'm Michelle Oucharek-Deo, and this is your Productivity Pulse, where we talk about intention, accountability, and the daily practices that turn your ideas into action. In episode 14, I talked about accountability and specifically about joining a writing accountability group and how excited I was to be part of a group of people who, although they didn't know each other, were willing to step up and support one another with no questions asked and hold each other accountable just by witnessing their actions and their progress. I've always been open to any experience that comes my way, but what happened in the 7 days after I joined the group shifted the rhythm of my daily progress and my general thoughts about what you can get done in such an environment. And that, my friends, surprised me. It was simple, just 2 words: mini goals. But before we get into the mini, we need to talk about the big, because I don't believe you can get to the root of one without truly understanding the other. I've always been a goal setter, even before I understood what goals really were. My father introduced me to the power of the list. He talked about how half the battle was already won once you've written it down, because it leaves your brain the space to start putting together an action plan to get things done. After many years of being an absolute time nerd and organizational optimizer, what I know now is that the right kind of list can become part of your own personal productivity system. And if thinking of developing your own system seems way too big, I want you to think of it as if you're gathering the right tools to build your own time tool belt. Once we have a time tool belt in place, even if right now you only have one tool that works for you, then you're ready to get started. But beware, here's the trap that many of us fall into when it comes to making lists. We often make them too long and mix dreams, goals, and tasks onto the same page. And then, when we don't finish it one day, we think we need to roll the items over onto the list for the next day. And then the list gets a little longer. And before you know it, the list itself has become a source of anxiety, not relief. You look at it and you feel overwhelmed. You abandon it entirely and lose any of the momentum that you had started to build. Sound familiar? The real problem isn't the list. It's what we're writing on the list. When we write things down like, I want to write a book, get in shape, or change careers, that is one type of list. Don't get me wrong. Those are all real, worthy dreams. But they can't live on your daily task list. They're too large. They have no starting point. So they just sit there, enormous and unmoving. And when they just sit there, it often can make you feel like you're doing something wrong. So how do we actually get things done from the smallest task to the biggest life change? We build it. We build a ladder. But this ladder only has 3 rungs. Easy climbing, right? Not quite, but well worth it. Let me introduce you to those 3 rungs, and then I want to bring them to life through a story. Rung 1 is the dream. The dream is a feeling. It's that pull you have towards the version of your life that doesn't exist yet. It's not a plan, it's a direction. You have to name it before you can do anything with it. But a dream alone won't get you anywhere. It needs to become something more solid. Rung 2, the big goal. This is where the dream becomes a plan. You research it, reality test it, cost it out, both financially and emotionally, and you use a process of reverse engineering. You picture yourself already living that dream, and you work backwards. What does that version of your life actually look like? What did it take to get there? The big goal is where intention meets strategy. Rung number 3, the mini goal, where multiple mini goals make it all possible. This is where everything actually happens. This is where we create a series of mini goals, some small enough to complete in minutes, others may take a little bit longer, but in general, it's the thing you can do today, in the time it takes to steep a cup of tea or brew a pot of coffee. It's specific, it's achievable, and when you check it off, something clicks in your brain. The click is momentum. Now let me show you what all three look like in real life. I want to introduce you to Ruby. Ruby is a 32-year-old woman. She has her high school diploma. She's been working in the same job for 15 years, and somewhere in the back of her mind, for longer than she'd like to admit, there's been a pull towards achieving something more. Something in the field of healthcare. Maybe a calling? She's not sure. She's always been the person her family calls when someone is sick. She's calm under pressure, she asks the right questions, and she genuinely loves figuring out how to help people. For a long time, Ruby has called this feeling a pipe dream. She's in her 30s, she has bills, she has a family to think about. The ideas of going back to school feels almost laughable, except she can't quite stop thinking about it. That pull, that's her dream. And the first thing Ruby needs to do is stop dismissing it. Stop pushing it away. So one evening, Ruby sits down with a pen and a quiet house, and she lets herself imagine it. She pictures herself in a clinical setting, in scrubs, helping a patient understand their diagnosis. She pictures herself competent, respected, doing work that matters. Then she lets the image get more specific. She'd always assumed the word doctor went with this dream. But when she imagines herself in an emergency room doing 12-hour overnight shifts at 40, something in her chest tightens. So she adjusts her image and starts typing questions into her phone. What else can she do in the field of healthcare outside of being a doctor? The career of a nurse practitioner pops up and she feels a buzz inside her heart. Right there at her kitchen table, that single moment of courage, just to ask a question, changed her life. A nurse practitioner still gets to do exactly what she pictures, diagnosing, treating, building patient relationships, but the path, while long, is more manageable than medical school. The more she reads, the more certain she feels. The dream has found an identified direction. Okay, so now Ruby picks up the phone. Mini goal. She calls the nursing program at her local college and asks to speak with an academic advisor. Another mini goal. She says, I want to become a nurse practitioner. I have a high school diploma and I haven't been in school for 15 years. Where do I start? That phone call is scary. It's also the single most important thing she does because it transforms the dream into real information. The advisor tells her what prerequisite courses she'll need. They tell her which ones can be done online, which ones need to be done in person, and what the full program looks like from application to completion. Ruby hangs up the phone and sits with it. She does the math, the real math. How many hours can she reduce at work while she still keeps her family afloat? Is there financial aid, a loan, a flexible schedule? She sits down with her partner and they go through it together. Honestly, there's tension. There are hard conversations to be had. There's also eventually a plan. She runs what I call the cost versus value equation. Not just financially, but personally. What will this cost her over the next several years? Time, energy, comfort, routine? And what is the value on the other side? A career that lights her up, a salary that opens new doors, a version of herself she'll be proud of. For Ruby, the value wins. The big goal is set. Let's go deeper into mini goal development because this is actually where many people stall or falter. It's often here where the self-doubt starts to creep in and the fear that kept you from making a change years ago rears its head. The dream feels too big, the goals impossible to reach. This is where the mini goals can save you. Let's get back to Ruby's story. Ruby's next goal is not enroll in nursing school. That's too big. She's not there yet. Her mini goal is to research the 3 online prerequisite options the advisor mentioned and write down their start dates. That's it. She can do that in 10 minutes. She can do it while her pasta is even boiling. Her second mini goal, Call one former colleague who changed careers and ask how they stayed motivated. 10 minutes. Done. Her third mini goal? Look up whether the current employer offers any education benefits. 6 minutes. None of these feel like they're changing your life yet. That's the whole point. Each one is a small, specific action with a beginning and an end. Each one can be checked off, and each check mark is a vote, a quiet, private vote for you that says, I'm the kind of person who does this, who can get this done. I vote for me. Over time, those votes accumulate. Ruby registers for her first course. She passes it. She registers for the next. She builds a rhythm. Work, study, family, mini goals repeat. That feels sustainable because it is sustainable. She doesn't blow up her life all at once. She rebuilds it piece by piece in the pockets of time that most of us throw away. Let's start with what I call my steep tea system. When your tea is steeping, you have about 6 or 7 minutes. That's a mini goal window. What's one small thing you've been putting off? Reply to that email. Clear your desk. My other anchor is the 10-minute timer. Set it on your phone. One specific task. When it goes off, you're done. What you'll find is that most mini goals take less than 10 minutes, and finishing them creates a lightness that genuinely is hard to explain until you feel it. A few rules to make this work. Write down only 1 or 2 mini goals at a time. The moment your list has 6 things on it, it stops being a mini goal list and starts becoming the overwhelming list that we talked about at the beginning of the episode. Keep it small, keep it specific. Assign your mini goals to a time, not just a day. Call the advisor is vague. Call the advisor at 12:15 when I'm eating lunch is a mini goal. And celebrate. Seriously, when Ruby makes that deposit for her first course, that deserves a moment of acknowledgement, not just crossing it off and moving to the next thing. The emotional punctuation matters. All right, so before I move on, I want to bring in some voices from our community because this isn't just theory. Real people are already using the 10-minute timer, and what they're doing with it is worth hearing about. I asked listeners to share their 10-minute mini goals suggestions, and 3 of them came through with exactly the kind of honest, practical wisdom I was hoping for. Antoinette went straight to one mini goal we all know is waiting for us. Make the appointment you've been putting off. It takes 5 minutes to navigate around all the bots. Oh, Antoinette, yes, we all have that appointment. The one that's been sitting in the back of our minds for 3 weeks, maybe 3 months. The dentist, the doctor, the follow-up appointment to reschedule. And Antoinette is right. The whole thing, bots and hold music and all, takes about 5 minutes. The resistance to do it has been taking up space in your brain for far longer than that. So set the timer, make the call, and get it done. And there's Renee. Renee kept hers perfectly simple. Setting a 10-minute timer to tackle my office space clutter. I love this one because it doesn't try to solve the whole problem. Renee isn't saying she's going to organize her entire office. She's saying she's going to set a timer and touch the clutter for 10 minutes. What happens in those 10 minutes might surprise you though, because once you start moving things around, it's very hard to stop at 10. But even if you do stop exactly at the 10 minutes, the pile is smaller, the space feels lighter, and tomorrow's 10 minutes will be easier because of today's. And Holly. Holly gave us the most beautifully specific mini goal of all. I'm going to use 10 minutes today to clear off my desk. I need to file my receipts, deal with the mail, and shelve my books. They're easy tasks, but the low priority ones tend to go in a pile all week. It'll feel good to clear off my space. Holly is walking into the 10-minute timer moment already knowing exactly what needs to happen. She knows it's easy. She even knows how it's going to feel when it's done. The only thing standing between Holly and a clear desk was the decision to name it, claim it, and set the timer. That's a mini goal at its finest. What I love about Antoinette, Renee, and Holly is that none of them are trying to change their lives in 10 minutes. They're just trying to clear a little space, mental space, physical space, inbox space, so that everything else can breathe a little easier in their lives. And that right there is exactly how the big things get done. One more piece. And this is the one I've been sitting with since episode 14. Mini goals work better when someone else knows about them. This doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be a paid coach or a structured program. For Ruby, it might be a simple group text with 2 other women who are also navigating big life changes. For me, it's been my writing accountability group, showing up every day, naming what I'm doing, then reporting back. What accountability does is remove the easy exits. It's very simple to deprioritize a mini goal when only you know it exists. It becomes much harder when you've said it out loud. Dreams stay private until we dare to speak them. Mini goals work the same way. Ruby's story isn't finished. It won't be for years. But the nurse practitioner she's becoming, the one who will eventually sit across from a frightened patient and say, "Here's what we're going to do," that woman exists right now in every mini goal Ruby checks off the list this week. That's what mini goals are for. Not to rush the big dream, but to keep moving towards it. 1, 6, 10 minutes at a time. I'd love to hear yours. What's one mini goal you've achieved recently? What's one that felt impossible? And what got in the way? Until next time, be intentional, stay accountable, and remember, small is not small. Small is the first step to building big. Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Productivity Pulse. You're not alone in this. We're all learning how to navigate our time in a way that actually supports our lives. If you want a simple place to start, grab the free Time Disruptor checklist in the show notes and join the community. Let's start noticing what's getting in the way so we can begin to make the shift. Remember, intention plus accountability equals productivity. Until next time, keep listening to your pulse.